Hello and welcome to another edition of Pulp Picks. My name is Patrick.
I'm Fritz.
And we're here to give you this week's reading recommendations on New Comic Book Day.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a couple number ones and a returning champion. And let's dig right in with a new number one from Dark Horse.
Yeah, so my pick this week is William of Newbury, issue 1. So this series by Michael Oeming, you probably know him from Powers and My Simpler. This series is about the titular William. He is a monk in a very obviously fictionalized, I believe it was 12th century England, where all manner of awful stuff's going on. There's a civil war, people are being haunted by demons and ghosts. There's thieves and brigands along all the roads. And he's just kind of trying to go from town to town, trying to help solve problems, exorcise castles, get rid of stuff in graveyards, just trying to do what he can. And there's a lot of tension between him and kind of everyone to a certain extent. The monastery that he kind of works out of, he's in conflict with his adopted brothers who also work there. One of them is the prior, who's just all I care about is counting the coin. I don't care about you're cavorting with the devil when you do this kind of stuff.
Sure.
And he's got problems there. As soon as he gets on the road, he immediately kind of gets shanghaied into yeah, we're not going to rob you. We're just going to protect you on your way to the town you're going to, and you're going to pay us for it.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, kind of inadvertently picks up a sidekick, Winnie, who just kind of gets enamored with the whole thing of just oh, this is really cool and weird, the stuff you do. I kind of want to learn more about this. And yeah, it's just kind of them having some fun little magical adventures. There's a kind of a cliffhanger here at the end where maybe he's in a bit more trouble than he thinks he's getting into doing all this kind of stuff. The crown might not be happy with him, it turns out. Or at least a crown, because again, there's a civil war.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot of fun. You were talking about before how much the art, which is one of the reasons I really enjoy Oeming as a writer, but his art is just to die for. You were saying that it was kind of giving you a vibe of a mix of Mignola and Sakai.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just a bunch of cute little animals running around fighting ghosts and stuff.
Yes.
It works perfect for it. And the coloring too. Let me double check who the colorist was on this.
Yeah, it's really cool looking.
Yeah, let me. Oh, he was also the colorist, so that also explains.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just every.
Yeah, it's got Hellboy vibes a little bit, but cuter with the
Mm-hmm.
yeah. The animals, the faces, especially there's a rabbit character who looks kind of the Yosagi Yojimbo kind of proportions and stylings.
And I love because there's these little skeletons that he can see that just kind of hop around and kind of taunt him, and it's just it's a fun little book. Also, I just love William. He's he seems to have no fear taking on these ghosts and demons and whatnot, but but if he gets thrown into a patch of dirt, he's oh, I hope I'm not dirty. He's got these weird little foibles that just kind of throw people off, because just this is the issue you're taking with
right, sure.
Yeah, it's a fun little read. Nice and breezy without feeling you didn't you're not getting a full meal out of it.
Sure.
I don't know. I always enjoy Oeming stuff. This is the first time I think he's really done anything in a while, his own creator-owned stuff. So super happy to see that. Can't wait for more. Speaking of some other good creator-owned stuff, over to you, Patrick.
Yeah, so I'm picking Image Grommets number 1, and this is Rick Remender and Brian Posehn, I think is how you pronounce that.
Yeah, I think
Posehn.
he helped co-write a good chunk of Jerry Dugan's Deadpool run, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
I recognize the name. I couldn't tell you where it was from. And then Brett Parson does the art on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the gist of this book is it's 1984. The main character is moving to a new town. He appears to be in junior high-ish kind of age range. And he has got to show up for his first day of school, and it doesn't go really well. It's not the over the top he gets beat up by bullies and is completely miserable. He's just not having luck making any friends.
Yeah.
And he really kind of wants to move back to San Francisco. So he's getting teased a bit and whatever. And at the end of the day, he tries to make friends with some guys that he sees talking about going to the skate park. And that does not go well either. But then somebody else is there and invites him to come along with him.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about those guys. They're posers. Like, come with me. So it's got this kind of cartoony quality to it. And it feels a lot like a more polished, like if you are from my age range and you read like Thrasher magazine
mm-hmm.
or, watched any number of the movies or played any number of the video games, in the 80s and into the early 90s, there was this kind of really rough art style. It was kind of cartoony, it was kind of graphic and kind of gnarly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's got that kind of a vibe to it, but much more polished.
Yeah.
It's much more professional looking.
Mm-hmm.
So they do, shots of the skateboards that each of the guys has and whatever, when they're talking about, what kind of trucks and wheels and stuff they've got on their boards. And it's just kind of fun. And I read that both of the writers found skateboarding as kind of an outlet for them athletically when they were kids, because team sports did not go well at all for them. And so I could kind of, relate to that. I was in sports in high school, but, I found that track and cross country, the individual sports, I like the camaraderie there where everybody's cheering everybody on all the time. You're just looking for people to improve and do your best. So I got that vibe out of their concept of what skateboarding was to them. We were talking earlier about how the 80s and 90s and even the early 2000s, like they can be a really difficult era to portray, because the way that people talk to each other back then is certainly not acceptable now. And, a lot of the popular vernacular at that time is, rightfully so, just not used anymore. So it's tough because you don't want to glorify that stuff, but at the same time, you don't want, substituting it doesn't feel genuine. Does it kind of sugarcoat the way that things were? So they're trying to, you can feel that they're trying to tone it down a little bit, but they don't completely shy away from it. We'll see how this series continues on. I'm definitely going to be continuing to read it because it was fun. But it's basically just like a coming to age type of story. Mm-hmm. It's one of everybody feels awkward in junior high and high school. Everybody struggles with friends and with people, pointing out all their flaws and, so...
Sometimes The Rock just happens to go through its entire life coming to a particular point in time that will make your day a terrible day.
So great. And the end result, you gotta check out the last panel. It's so good. But I do, I think particularly for people who grew up in the 80s or 90s, this is going to hit, some very familiar themes. It was, bringing back some memories for sure, but also for anybody who enjoyed kind of that Stranger Things kind of, throwback type of storytelling, and the aesthetics of it definitely make it feel like that era. It was just a lot of fun. But what it's really about these two kids and how hard growing up and adolescence can be, and I think everybody can relate to that. So it was a lot of fun. The art is gorgeous. It's just super cool and fun and cartoony, and it's got a lot of energy to it. So, all right, well, we did our due diligence on trying to get people to read something brand new and add something to their pull and hold lists.
So here's something that we've done a lot.
Every single time.
Time, yep.
If you don't have Ultimate Spider-Man on your pull and hold, what are you doing?
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you, indeed?
So this issue, what I love with this issue, because most of the issues so far have had a similar track of and this is the same case for all the Ultimate books of it's month by month, kind of checking with how things are going, kind of getting these incremental updates on characters.
Yeah.
And this issue kind of bucks that, because if you can tell by the cover, it's just kind of more actually following what Harry Osborn's been up to this entire time. Like, we get to see what he was doing when everything went down, when, like, Norman and all the other people got... We really get to see this time just vaporized, basically.
Yeah.
Like, that building does not exist anymore.
Yeah, that was a hard read.
Yeah, like, we get to see that. We kind of get to learn, like, how he came to, like, Power and Oscorp, like, the deals he was kind of forced into with, like, other players, and kind of how he starts to learn, like, what's actually going on in the world, like, who's actually kind of in charge and running things.
Yeah. Yeah, because the setting for this Ultimate Universe is that the maker has tipped the scales of everything in order to be able to control, basically, the world, and then put different people in positions of power throughout the world, including New York City.
Yeah. Well, because, like, I think this is the first issue to properly address, like, it came up in, like, some of the, in, like, the Ultimate Invasion and the Ultimate Universe one-shot that, like, so, like, no countries as, like, we understand them exist properly in the Ultimate Universe. Like, the United States isn't really, like, the United States anymore. It's, like, the North American Protectorate or something.
Yeah.
Like, they're all basically, like, governed or shadow governed by, like, the members of, like, the Makers Council. Like, you see over in Black Panther that, like, Africa is basically just being run by Khonshu and Ra.
Correct. Yeah.
I expect it to come up in some point in X-Men that, like, Sunfire runs what used to be Japan. It's called, I forget what it's called now, but, like, and so in this issue, you kind of get to learn, like, kind of, like, what's the state of that with America here, and spoiler alert, Kingpin's involved, so, you know, that it's not good for anyone, but... No, it was so cool getting to see, like, Harry kind of navigate this new world along, because, like, he's kind of, like, for a lot of readers that this stuff hasn't come up as much in the main title yet, like, they're kind of, like, learning along with him, like, oh, this is kind of, like, what's going on, and, like, how you kind of grow to understand, like, what Harry's whole mission is about, like, why he's doing what he's doing. Yeah,
and how he came to the understanding that is driving him to it. Yeah, it's mostly flashback stuff. We've seen everything. We've seen everything that happened here. The end results of it.
Yeah.
To an extent. So pretty much this whole issue takes place prior to the last issue.
Until, like, the last couple pages are finally, like, in May.
Yes, but then because he has an interaction with Peter, but that's before they get the couples together.
That's in March. Yep, right? So that's before last issue. But
then we see just a little teeny tiny snippet at the end there. Yeah. And it's really interesting.
Because, like, I love the bit with them, because it's, like, them at a bar and some just kind of, like, exchanging kind of, like, info they know and, like, kind of, like, their emotional state.
Yeah.
And, like, it's this, like, real nice bonding moment, which is like, oh, they can be friends, and you get, like, what happens then in May, and it's just like, oh, there's maybe some not good stuff going on.
So am I being paranoid in he's an Osborn and Peter trusts him implicitly way too soon? Like, is this going to go bad for Peter? I don't know. Like, they seem to be giving all kinds of great motivation for Harry to be, and no reason for him to not be genuine.
I think it will go bad, just not in the way that we anticipate.
Well, it's Hickman, so I hope so. This, and we talked about, like, how fun could an issue where somebody is basically rummaging through the remains of someone else's company possibly be.
I love the line where it's just like, so you can't actually paint the armor. Like, it doesn't work that well. Like, it's just like this fun little throwaway line where it's just like, I've been trying for, like, days to get this right, and it doesn't work.
Well, and everything too. So he's got this armor which appears to be derivative of some sort of Stark technology, which we understand that Tony has been reaching out to people.
Which there's kind of an update in here, which I think might confirm a theory I've had, which is like, oh, this might actually make things exponentially worse.
Yeah. And so if he's got armor, why is the armor not flying for him? Why does he need a glider? Like, that's what I love about Hickman's writing, is he thinks about all those little plot holes and tidies them up. And I really like the explanation here. Yeah, and for the color of the suit and the whole bit, like, all of it was just, there's a good explanation for all of it. And even if it is just kind of like, we're just patching over this, at least there's the acknowledgement of, like, look, you're going to have to suspend some disbelief here. Just go with it. Yes, okay, thank you for at least addressing it. So, yeah, really good. If you're not reading basically the entire Ultimate line at this point, you're very much missing out if superhero stuff is your jam at all.
And Ultimates drops next week. Spoiler alert, I will be shocked if it's not my pick.
Yeah. Who's writing that one again?
That is Dennis Camp.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that'll be sure to get that put on your list if you don't have it already. I know that we've got a bunch of copies coming in. But
yeah, I think we still got some copies of the free comic day special where they kind of give like a little tease of like the vibe that they're going for. And needless to say, I was already excited because everything else of theirs I've read is just I've loved. But then like kind of like really getting the interplay between the characters of like none of them like really quite get along, but they know they have to like get done what they need to do. And that's something I've liked about all the Ultimate books is just like it's these characters who know they need to like be something other than what they are, but like trying to figure out how to be that. They're just none of them are quite sure how to do it.
Yeah. That's the fun of having a fledgling superhero universe, right? Like, yeah, you get to see everybody go through those growing pains.
Yeah, they get to stumble and fall and pick themselves up again. And it's fun. It's really fun to see happen.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we will be back next week with more picks. There were certainly others that we had up here, so stop in, check out the entire wall for yourself.
Did we want to do any like honorary mentions?
Yeah, I was on my board was also Green Arrow. This was the tie-up for its issue 12, so it's the tie-up for this story arc. But it was cathartic, it was probably one of the quickest comics I've ever read in my whole life. But I love the art style. I love the tone they're doing. They're getting Oliver just right. Like it's all great. What else did you like?
So the X books this week were fun. We've got the Rise of the Powers of 10 that is kind of the end before like the final issue of X-Men proper drops.
Yeah, they definitely tie up a major story.
Yeah, it's the final issue of Wolverine, but also definitely check out Helverine because some of the stuff that happens in there goes over to that. And then there's also the X-Men Pride special, which is Mystique and Destiny finally getting married. Spoiler alert, it's maybe not exactly what it appears to be.
Yeah, well, I was wondering because was it last week or a couple weeks ago that the way that things were going didn't. Seemed like there was some
patched it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
They get some therapy from Emma.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
But yeah, no, so the X books were fun this week.
Good.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Leave your comments on what you're enjoying reading and stop into the store and check it all out for yourself because what's the point of us providing all these great comic books if nobody comes in to read them?
Yeah, like read them, people.
Yes. The real deal. Now, we'll be back next week. Thanks for joining.
Also had to spend the entire video not just going, grab it.